How confident are you that your marketing is working for you? Are you wanting or needing more clients, but you're unsure about how to go about making that happen? Then I've got some great content for you today. Marketing is all about visibility. And in today's episode, I'll be sharing some ways that you can increase your visibility so your ideal client can find you. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Christian therapist, are you craving a counseling career that aligns with your faith and actually supports your well being? Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I'm Kimberly Van Hooser, Christian therapist, private practice owner, and business coach for mental health professionals like you. In this podcast, you'll get practical strategies and faith-led guidance to help you build a thriving private practice, one that serves your clients well and makes an impact for the kingdom of God. So what are you waiting for? Grab your notebook and join me for today's episode. Welcome to the Prosperous Christian Therapist Podcast. I am your host, Kimberly Van Hooser. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I run a Christian counseling private practice in the state of Colorado, serving clients in Colorado and Arizona. And I'm also a private practice coach for mental health professionals who are wanting to grow the private practice that God has put on their heart. There is still time to join my flagship group coaching program, Practice with Purpose. That all begins on March 30th. I'll be doing 8 consecutive group coaching calls every single Monday. You'll also have additional office hours twice a month if you have any questions between those calls. And I'll be going over the different foundational pieces of information you need to know to start and grow a private practice that thrives. I'll be talking about startup foundations. I'll have a checklist for you to make sure you're not missing anything. We'll discuss mindsets and making sure that your mindset is in alignment with God. We'll have the fun of getting to partner with God and see what that looks like as we start to vision cast for private practice. We'll also be talking about how to hone in on your niche client, as well as ways to network and market specifically so you attract more of that ideal client. We'll cover your processes and operations, your finances, all sorts of really exciting things. I'm very excited already about the group of people that have already signed up, and we would love to also have you join us. This is for the clinician who is planning to launch their private practice in the next 3 to 6 months or is already launched and just needs some help to take their practice to the next level. I also have received a couple of questions wondering if you have to be wanting to market as a Christian counselor in order for this to be relevant. And the answer to that is no. We need Christians who are showing up in the secular field as well, but it is more relevant to those who really value their faith in God and they want their business to be directed by Him. So I'm definitely going to be covering business strategies that I think apply to the Christian or non-Christian alike. But I'm also going to interweave that faith integrated piece of reminding you to check in with the Lord about what He's calling you into and to strategize with Him, which I think makes it way more fun. Be sure to check the show description for details on how to register and feel free to reach out to me via email if you have any questions. In today's episode, I'll be covering how to increase your visibility when it comes to marketing. Most often with my coaching clients, they're asking a lot of questions like, how do I increase my caseload? Or how do I have a steady stream of referrals so I have a more consistent caseload? And that usually dials down into marketing. And there are a lot of pieces with marketing of making sure that your messaging is correct, that you know who you are speaking to. But then the other piece that is often overlooked is visibility. So no matter how great your content is, no matter how strong your message is, if it's not getting in front of your ideal prospective client, you're not going to have a consistent caseload. So, in today's episode, we're going to focus less on how to have really clear, consistent messaging and focus more on how do you make yourself visible so people are finding you, so people remember you. And I think the important thing to remember with visibility is that it has to be consistent. You can't just launch your private practice, let a whole bunch of people know about it, and then just disappear a couple of months later. So let's talk about some ways you can make yourself more visible. I will briefly touch on the ways that I think are probably common sense that people already know about, and then we'll delve into some that are a little bit more outside of the box. First of all, I would recommend that you get a website and that you are making sure that it is optimized for SEO. Most of my referrals will find me on Google, and it is so nice because I don't have to be out there doing work to make sure I'm visible. They just find me naturally. However, with that being said, it takes a little bit of time to rank higher on Google. So as you get your website up, as you get yourself visible on certain directories, like maybe you pick Psychology Today, I highly recommend focus on the Family's Christian Counselor Network. So get your online presence ready to go. And that also helps too, as you're marketing and showing up in these other ways that we'll talk about, people will have a website to go back to and see all your information. I would also recommend that your website has a way to collect email addresses. So you are starting to build a warm audience. People can choose to opt in for your email list, and then you have the ability to send them out maybe a monthly newsletter or blog, or if you're wanting to start a group or offer a webinar, you already have a list of contacts of where to start. If you need any help with building a website or creating a lead magnet, I have a great contact for you, Dina Farish. She recently offered a webinar to my audience, and she was on my podcast about a month or so ago, and she's really an expert in this area. So I'll leave her contact information in the show description below. One way that I've actually found to be super helpful in increasing my visibility, and actually I've gotten several clients through doing this, is by being a part of Facebook groups that are relevant to my ideal client or to other therapists. So I am in several therapy Facebook groups, and when other clinicians are posting for referrals that would be relevant to me, I will post my information. And then I'm in several Facebook groups, like I said, where my ideal client is likely hanging out. And a lot of times there will be people posting in these groups saying, I'm looking for a therapist. Does anyone have any suggestions or recommendations? And that is a great opportunity for me to share who I am and what I do. And what I love about this is not only does it hopefully help the person who's looking for a therapist, but other people are in these groups and you have no idea how many eyes might be seeing these posts and maybe it's striking a chord with them. So I know a lot of therapists don't really like social media and maybe you don't want to be on Facebook. But for those of you who do have Facebook, I've really seen it be a very useful marketing strategy. And it's just important to set healthy limits and boundaries. It can be easy to fall into just scrolling through Facebook and looking for people who are searching for therapists so you can post your information. But just set good boundaries so you're not wasting too much time on there. And what I love too about Facebook is there's usually in certain groups, there will be like weekly opportunities to post and share your information. So that helps you with consistency. Every single Wednesday, if I see, hey, it's now time to share your information, I get to share my info. While that alone is not going to probably fill your caseload, because I don't always look at all the posts of other business owners, people will look through there. And that makes your business more memorable the more consistently that you post. Facebook has also led me to be able to build a lot of connections with other professionals. So I did have a therapist reach out to me a few weeks ago who was like, hey, I always see you in the Facebook groups and you're posting your information. It seems like we share similar values and we work with a similar population. So I would love to do a Zoom meetup. And it was great because I had actually seen her post in all these Facebook groups as well too. And I had a mental note to reach out to this person and then she beat me to it. And now I have another referral relationship. So Facebook can be a great opportunity to increase your visibility, not only with other referral sources, but with people who actually are needing your therapy services. Okay, so the next strategy that I want you to think about is how to leverage other people's audiences in a way that benefits you as well as them. So, for example, this could be offering to be a guest on a podcast. It could be offering to guest blog. It could be contact church and asking if you could write a piece for their weekly newsletter. Especially if you are newer to private practice, maybe you don't have a ton of connections, you don't have a large following of people who are actually seeking and wanting therapy. Learn to utilize other people who already have that following. And this comes back to thinking about your ideal client and where they are getting their information. So think about what type of podcasts would my client be listening to? What kind of newsletters or blogs would they be subscribing to? Now, you might think, Kimberly, that sounds like a great idea, but how do I actually get myself invited on a podcast? How do I get myself actually invited to share information in a newsletter? I would first encourage you to reach out to people where you already have a warm connection. Let's say you've already built a connection with a pastor at a church. You can ask to see if you could share some relevant mental health tips for believers in their newsletter. You can offer to do a speaking event, even if it's not a giant thing showing up in front of the entire church audience. See if you could come visit their youth group and share some things about mental health in youth. Just start to think outside the box and brainstorm. And then you have to put yourself out there. Take a chance and reach out to someone who runs a podcast and let them know who you are, what you offer, and how it's going to benefit them and their listeners. I know as a podcaster, I absolutely love it when I have someone who's a guest who offers really good, relevant information to my listeners, because not only does it bless my listeners, it blesses me because I don't have to come up with new content all on my own. And then I also hope that it blesses the person who is the guest on my podcast because I believe in their services that they offer. And hopefully my audience can then reach out and get the help that they need while also blessing my guest podcaster's business. It is possible that you might reach out to someone and they might either say no or completely ignore you and never get back to you. That is all part of the networking game, and we need to not take it personally if complete strangers do not get back to us. And it actually might be helpful to first reach out and generate a warm connection before you offer to be on someone's podcast. Because I would be a lot more likely if I had someone that I'd already known or started to build at least an introduction to. I'd be way more likely to invite them on my podcast than sometimes I get some random emails from people offering to be on it, and they can come across kind of spammy. But what I want you guys to be thinking about is those ways where you can show up and be visible, leverage other people's audiences if you don't have a huge following yet, and make sure that when you show up on these platforms, you have a way for people to get connected. You have that email list opt in on your website so people can subscribe, and you're starting to generate a lead list for future. That's going to go so far in helping you have a consistent referral source and minimizing the work you have to do to be out there marketing and networking. Because it's great if you're able to show up one time and do a speaking event, but what about a year from now? How are those people going to stay connected to you? Because people in the audience might not be needing therapy right now, but they might need a therapist a year from now, 5 years from now. And if you have done your job to make sure you're staying connected, then they'll know exactly who to go to. The final suggestion I'm going to give on today's episode for a way that you can be more visible is to offer some sort of free community event. So this could be a workshop, maybe your local church would host it, maybe you can partner with a wellness organization. It seems like I really frequently see, and this is quite possibly because I'm an entrepreneur, so my newsfeed decides that it's relevant. But on Instagram, so many different wellness places that are launching. And it seems almost on a monthly basis, there's some new like wellness center that's opening. And if I had the time and energy to attribute to that, that would be a great place to reach out to and say, hey, like I'm a mental health therapist in the area. I would love to see if I can partner with you in these ways. I've thought about contacting my community center for my neighborhood and offering some sort of workshop to the community. When I lived in Colorado Springs, I actually reached out to the owner of the local cat cafe and I was able to offer a mindfulness with cat workshop. And that was a lot of fun. And the cool thing with offering some sort of workshop is the hardest work is the initial part of getting all of your information and your presentation ready to go. But once you've done it, you can do it on repeat. I'm kind of sad that I moved to the Denver area and therefore it's not as easy or convenient for me to go offer mindfulness with cats down in Old Colorado City. But if you have a workshop, you can offer that at multiple churches. You can convert that to a webinar that you offer virtually so you don't even have to travel. Eventually, you can convert that to an online course or teaching that people can just purchase and you don't even have to show up for it at all. Keep the long term game in mind when you are increasing your visibility because I get it can feel super disappointing if you pour all this time and work and effort into something and then maybe no one shows up for your workshop or only two people do. Or let's say you actually are courageous enough to be a guest on someone's podcast and you're not seeing the phone calls come in. Just trust that your information is going out there. Trust that God's going to use that to plant seeds, and seeds don't turn into an orchard overnight. It takes time. But trust me, the more consistent you are, the more faithful you are in continuously doing your part to show up and be visible, to let people know about the services you offer. And I want you to notice, pay attention in yourself if there's anything that I'm sharing where you're like, no, I don't want to do that. No, that's not going to work for me. Check in with your mindset because with marketing, it's usually actually not that hard unless your mindset is holding you back. A lot of mindset hangups come from a lack of confidence where you don't fully believe that what you offer is good or needed. It could be a fear of man, a fear that what if I offer this and people reject it or people don't like it? And then honestly, it could be out of some sort of laziness where you just want to be able to throw up your beautiful, colorful website and have all these people find you on Google, and you don't want to have to put yourself out there and put in the extra work, which I get it. we don't have a ton of time these days. We are often exhausted by the other demands and responsibilities of our life. But it's good just to acknowledge that. And then if you really want private practice, recognizing that it's going to take some legwork. But don't forget to partner with God. Ask Him for strategies. Ask Him to help you prioritize where you need to show up, but also have fun with it. I love doing mindfulness with cats. It was so great. The only thing is, it seems like a lot of my clients aren't necessarily hanging out at the local cat cafes. I don't know what it is about cat cafes, but it seems like people are all like, oh, we're going to have palm reading and tarot cards and all this mystic stuff that gets involved with cats. I'm like, can't we have a good, like, cats and Jesus cat cafe? One day, maybe I will start one of those. I'm not a crazy cat lady. I just think they're cute. Okay, so let's summarize. Make sure that you're taking time to get your website optimized so you will be findable on Google. Get any online directories in place that you want to utilize. Consider joining some Facebook groups and showing up in the posts when people are looking for referrals. Think about ways that you can leverage other people's audiences, whether that be by guest podcasting or guest blogging, writing for a local organization's newsletter. And then think about ways where you can show up visibly in your community and offer free resources. So that could be offering a workshop, it could be speaking at a church, it could be contacting your local cat cafe and doing some sort of fun mental health event there. I actually got paid for mindfulness with cats. So not all of this has to be free, but free resources are a great way just to increase your visibility. And keep in mind, whatever free work you're doing now is with the end game of receiving more income in the future. So we always have to invest first before we see the return. We see that with finances as well. When you throw money into an investment account, it's not the next day that you have tons of money in there right away. So we have to have that same mindset in building a private practice, is it might cost us. It might cost us money. It might cost us time, but over time, it's totally going to be worth it. And just like I'm glad that I opened my investment account several years back because of the return, you will feel the same thing with your private practice in the future. Hoping that this episode was helpful for some of you who are listening today. If you need any help kind of tackling your mindset hangups with marketing, because I think sometimes we're often blind to our own mindset, or if you want to strategize ways to increase your visibility, I'm happy to help you with that on a one-to-one coaching call. You can also join Practice with Purpose. You're going to have a lot of opportunity to ask me questions, not just on the topics that we're covering every single week in our 8 consecutive calls, but you'll have access to a members only free Facebook group and those office hours as well too, where you can pick my brain about other areas that are super relevant to you in your private practice. If you have any feedback or questions, feel free to send me an email. I'll leave my contact information in the show description below. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to having you with me next week. If you found value in today's episode, would you leave a written review on Apple Podcasts? It helps other faith-led clinicians like you find the show. And don't forget to join my free Facebook community, Start and Grow Your Private Practice as a Christian Therapist, where you'll join other clinicians for encouragement, accountability, and free tips and support. See you there.